Good day to everyone. We're learning Tanya Pedic Lamed Beis. We'll finish the chapter today. We're on page 82. We're seven lines, I think, from the end of the chapter. In the middle of the line begins with the words Hamachaya Nafsham Ho'elikis. And we're at the word V'gam la'ora rachbin b'liboy. So, let me bring you up to date. The Alter Rebbe here is focusing on the importance of Avas Yisrael to the point of Yohavta l'reyacha kamoicha. You should love your fellow, your neighbor, your friend as yourself. Not just to have an external love, not just to have a selfish love, not just to have a love with a reason. I like him because he does this and this, or he is so smart, or he is so great, But we're talking about just as you love yourself without looking for reasons why you love yourself, because it's yourself. So too, kamoicha. You have to love yourself. The interpretation is like yourself, meaning just as you love yourself, that's the same type of love you should have for someone else. You understand? That's the chiddush in the way the Alter Rebbe is interpreting the verse. When you learn Parshas Kedoshim and you learn about this mitzvah in Parshas Kedoshim, that's not the simple meaning of the text. You have to love your fellow, your friend, kamoicha, like yourself, meaning not the manner in which you like yourself, but as you like yourself, like someone else. The Chiddush in chapter 32 in Tanya in Pedic Lev, which stands for the heart of Tanya, is that the quality, it's not just a quantitative idea, but it's a qualitative idea. In what manner, in what style should you love your friend? Kamoicha, just as you love yourself, and you have no issues with loving yourself, even though if you look in the mirror and you wake up in the morning, many times you say, boy, am I, and God has to put up with me. You know what I'm saying? But we don't do that. We don't do that. So why not? Because the ava to ourselves is what we call ava atzmis. It's an essential love, Moshe. It's not a love that's an adjunct to who we are. This is who we are. By nature, a person loves themselves. So the Alter Rebbe says that's the same attitude you should have towards your friend. This is the overall theme of the chapter. Now, from there, the Alter Rebbe wants to give us logical ways of coming to that position, coming to those feelings, and also to address certain Talmudic statements and other statements which seem to contradict that, and that's what we did until today, until now. Now, the Alter Rebbe is going to answer a practical problem. Now listen to this. We learned yesterday, and we had a good discussion about it, how are you to have Avas Yisrael to a balchet, to a sinner? So if you look at the Gemara, take straight Gemara, the Gemara says you don't. You should hate them for that. And not only that, v'gam l'Rabbi, tell their teacher that they are a balchet. So it's not enough that you have the sinner towards them, you should get your teacher to have sinner towards them. So the Alter Rebbe says, yes, I'm aware of that Gemara. And the Alter Rebbe says that applies to the bad within them. But there's another side. Another side of the Jew is the good side. So the Alter Rebbe said yesterday that you're supposed to have sinah, lira, and ava, and love, letov, within one person. Which in a way is like a schizophrenic type of relationship. I think I told you the story with this great chassid, Peretz Chaim was his name, of the Mittler Rebbe and the Tzemach Tzedek, and he even lived to see the previous Rebbe in his cradle. He lived a long time. So Chassidim would say that he would cry from one eye. If you saw tears coming out of one eye, and in the other eye, you saw simcha. So they thought he was like a meshuganer, a schizophrenic. Are you happy or are you sad? Make up your mind. The truth is, when we get to the end of chapter 34, you'll see that it's actually from the Zohar HaKodesh. The Holy Zohar says exactly that. Chedvot kiyoi b'libo. Happiness comes on one side of the heart, and sadness is from the other side of the heart. So there's support for it in the Zohar. How to do that practically, we'll talk about it when we get there, and what's the purpose of it. But as it applies to what we're learning here in Tanya, this idea of having love to the same person and hate to the same person, but to two different parts of the person, it's a big task. But that's the task. And as we discussed yesterday, the truth is, it's very important. Like the story I told you with the doctor in the cafeteria, he likes his friends, he has a relationship, but so he seems. But the truth is, he doesn't have a relationship because it's all very academic. It's very medical. It's very technical. And by the way, this isn't just for a doctor in a hospital or in an office. This is true for you and us in Beis Medrash. We like to convince ourselves, he is my friend. I know him. He's really my good friend. Well, not only will you have disappointments many times when you think someone's really your friend, the truth is he's not really your friend. He's an acquaintance. He's a nice guy. You enjoy being in his company. But you know what a friend is? Like I've told you, why does it say Pirkei Avos, Uknei lecha chaver? Buy yourself, purchase for yourself a friend. What's this language, Uknei lecha chaver? Knei. So some say the word knei is associated with kana, like the pen. In other words, when you write out your feelings become your friend. Okay, that's a nice interpretation. Another insight is the Pirkei Avos is telling you that if you have to buy yourself a friend, even do that to have a friend. And to excuse Hillel, the social worker, etc. The fact is that people buy themselves friends by paying professionals to talk, to lay on the couch, to counsel. And it's fine. It's fine. It's very important. Like Rabbi Soloveitchik said, I told you this as well, that there's certain things that he can't even share with his family, only with students. It's too close.
You think I should consider that as a marketing campaign for a small fee? You could have me as your friend?
I think so. Moshe, what do you want to say?
Yeah, Rabbi Dalfin, forgive me for asking this now, but I was thinking about this already from the shir yesterday. We spoke yesterday, we've been speaking now about when a person, giving tochaka to a person only if they're at the same level as us, so to speak, of our Avodas Hashem. I forgot the exact lashon.
Avodas Hashem is the good language. Good, yeah.
Okay. Then we've been speaking a lot about the issue of someone who falls in the category of Tinuk Shenishba.
Yeah.
Which we know that today, of course, for some time now, we know that almost everybody falls into that category who's not on our level of Avodas Hashem, so to speak.
Yes.
But I want to ask a question, and this was something I think was beginning to be raised yesterday, but I think it's a question. I don't know if anybody else in the group has had this question, but we know, and this is especially apropos for right now, the time period we're going through right now, we know that we see sometimes we see it in the media, we see it in our own internal Jewish media, people who are doing things that are extremely, extremely damaging, fellow Jews who are doing things that are extremely damaging to Am Yisrael. I'll give two examples. We know that we have people who are affiliated with, I'm not sure exactly but let's just say for lack of a better term, we have those that are affiliated with the Turi Karta, who they publicize themselves with photographs meeting with leadership of Iran, the Palestinian Authority, terrorists, etc. We have that group. Then we have, and I don't know if anybody else saw this in the media, Avi, I don't know if you saw this, but this came out last week, that apparently there was some sort of very far left-wing individual who had a real beef with the government here and so forth, who actually gave somehow information to members of Hamas, a Jew, in the thought that they would only do something very relatively minor. And when he found out what had happened, we've got news that before Shabbos that he had some point last week he took his own life because he felt so bad about what he had done. I don't know if anybody else saw this in the media. So my question is,
my wife saw that. I don't know where.
Okay. So my question, Rabbi Dalfin, and again, I don't know if anybody else has asked this question, is simply, we see that, unfortunately, sometimes there are some people who are Jews, or they call themselves Jews, they dress like Jews, so to speak, and they do things that are extremely, extremely damaging to Am Yisrael.
Right.
My question is basically, does that fall in anywhere in what the Alter Rebbe is speaking about now?
Absolutely.
Or is it not? Or is it a different topic?
Okay, got your question. The answer is absolutely yes. You should hate the shtus, the evil, everything you said about those people. You should hate that. But their good side, they have a neshama. You have to love their neshama. So today we're going to learn another element that can help us. I want you to now listen to the last part, and let's talk about it in a moment. Okay, so I'm answering, but I'm also going to get back to your question. V'gam, okay, 7 lines from the bottom. V'gam lo'eire rachmim beliboy. The Alter Rebbe now says, I understand. He basically addresses Moshe's question. I understand it's very difficult to do this, to love and hate the same person. Therefore, he says, I have a suggestion for you. La'orer rachmim beliboy oleha. You, in this case, let's say Moshe, you are to awaken, to arouse mercy, Rachmonus, in your heart, oleha, on the Jewish soul that's found by this the Torah Kartanik. Kihu b'pchinas golus. Because that Jewish soul is in golus by that person, is in exile. Where? In the evil. In other words, when you go and support Hamas and do all this stuff, that's evil. You see, clearly, it's bad. But what's stuck in that badness? That person's neshama. The Alter Rebbe never will say, because it's not true, that he doesn't have a neshama, like they say about non-religious people, as you know. They're goyim. They're goyim. The Alter Rebbe doesn't say they're goyim. They say, the Alter Rebbe says, look what he says, look at the stark difference. They're yidden. They have a neshama. But it's in golus. It's stuck in the klippus. Hagoy v'rolel b'rishoyim. And guess what? The klippus dominate in Rishoyim. Yeah. In Rishoyim. It doesn't mean only Rishoyim someone didn't put on tefillin. If this thing of pairing up and supporting Hamas and all the Iran and all that, if Rav Klal Yisrael and Rav Rabbanim say this is wrong, then you're a Russia. In that instance, you are a Russia. But guess what? The neshama of that person It's stuck into the Shoyim. So what do we have to do? Look, Rachmonus, by arousing mercy, you saying mevateles hasina, it mevatel, it annuls the hatred, umoreres ha'ava, and it arouses your love, kenoida, as it's known, mimashekosov, from the verse, quote, leYaakov asher podes Avram. There's a verse, Yaakov who redeems Avram. Avram, you know, Avi is Chesed, Yaakov is Rachamim, right? The third is Avram is Chesed, Yitzchok is Gevura, and Yaakov is Rachamim. The pasuk says, "Nasher Yaakov redeems Avram," because sometimes Chesed, from that perspective, you see no justification in this Natura Kartunik. I'm sorry, I can't have Chesed to him. He's evil. This act is evil. Says the Alter Rebbe, I know. What are you to do? You have to evoke within yourself mercy, which is Yaakov, to redeem the individual who, from the perspective of Avram of Chesed, wouldn't be redeemed. So the only thing that can redeem him is it's a Rachmonus on his neshama. And I want to add to this that, again, along the lines of the Balatanya's Shita in this chapter 32, which is fundamental to all of Tanya and to all of life, look, a very simple thing, Moshe. Let's make a cheshbon with ourselves. Okay, we're not supporting Iran and Hamas and all that, right? But we support our own idiosyncrasies, and if we are going to look at ourselves as Rishoyim, because we spoke Lashon Hara last night, which is an Isser, the Rabbanan, the Raisa, Avak Lashon Hara, it's not Negeya, or we cheat our taxes, or we're disgusting to our wife, or to our kids, whatever it is. So, if you don't have if you're not going to use Rachmonus, then we are goners. We are finished. We're evil. We're bad. Oh no one thinks that way. No one thinks that. We don't think about ourselves that way. So if you don't think about yourself that way, don't think about someone else that way. In other words, Moshe, why is it that you are able, and I'm saying you, but please, I mean every one of us, why is it that we are able to have compassion for ourselves and our idiosyncrasies, which could be just as bad, and maybe at times even worse, but regardless, and we can't do it on the Torah Kartanik.
I guess I just have to jump in and just say, I guess that's a question. Ultimately, like what are we talking about? In other words, yeah, am I, let's just talk about myself. Am I perfect? No. Do I have idiosyncrasies, that need to be worked on? Of course. But I brought up the example specifically is because we're talking about people, let's say, who are going and doing something that is so... It's
Chilul Hashem. Right. And you're right, Chilul Hashem has its own category. What?
You say 3 times a day, the Lamal Nishim, in the Shmona Esrei, Davka on Yidden, who were acting against... Can't hear?
I can. I don't hear. Who's talking? Oh, Issa, you're talking. I just didn't hear. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And that was written by Chazal specifically to address Yidden who were harming us as a nation.
Okay, and that's true. And what Moshe's bringing up is the Chilul Hashem. Absolutely, but you don't lose your Jewish status.
Right. No. I'm just making the differentiation that it could be. I'm just wondering, are there different levels of Chilul Hashem? And sometimes a person does something which is just so damaging, so wicked to others. I'm raising.
Yes. And by the way, the Rebbe in the 1940s, he wrote a whole kuntrus, and maybe we should learn this. Maybe after we finish the Tanya, we should study this. He wrote an entire essay on addressing this point. How do you reconcile the fact that the Mishnah says certain Yidden won't have Olam Haba. The Rebbe in the 40s, probably with the previous Rebbe's encouragement, because then Jews were throwing off their yarmulkes and their sheiklach, and after the Holocaust, and there was a lot of commotion, and then there were certain Hasidic Rebbes who were blaming the assimilation. So the Rebbe went to the source material, and he addressed this issue. So just you should know, and if you care to look at it, I think it's even in English online. It's his essay on the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, which says these and these people won't have a chelek la'olam haba. So I am acknowledging, Moshe, that there's different levels of transgression, sins, but it does not reduce at all the fact that there's a neshama that's in Golus over here. And the Alter Rebbe says you need to have mercy on the neshama that's in Golus. That means you have to have mercy on that person who has a neshama and his neshama is in Golus. So what should be the mercy? That his neshama should wake up and he should stop with these shtusim. And he should stop. So this is, you could say, the difference between the certain attitudes in the community, where one attitude is we will ban them, we will destroy them, we will ostracize them, and the other attitude is no, we're not going to do that. We're going to work on revealing their souls so that they wake up from their dream and their ridiculous positions. And the different communities have different styles. Like I said to you yesterday, not everyone will accept what the Alter Rebbe says here, and I can understand why they wouldn't. But if you want to know what the Balatanya says, this is what he says. So am I? 1 second, Moshe, is it clearer now at least?
Yeah.
How you implement that and how you deal with it, that only you could decide, But I can I'm just sharing with you what the Alter Rebbe says. Yes, Isser.
Yeah, I think my just 1 second.
1 second.
Say, though,
Moshe, yeah.
I do find it interesting. No, forgive me. I do think it's interesting because I think ultimately, obviously, if there's a very extreme case, then we have to see what is halacha dicta. I mean, like, for example, God forbid, in the case of, let's say, this person who was in the news last week, he took his own life. I mean, you're talking about someone who's doing something which is probably, I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming that if let's say someone found out that this person was giving information to Hamas, critical information, to make it easier for them to kill Jews, so that person already would probably fall in the category of a rodef.
Okay, and again, halachically, there's halachas.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm just saying. But
the kapu in the Holocaust, there are halachas. This is what Rabbanim were dealing with and deal with. And the Alter Rebbe is not a sefer of halacha. The Alter Rebbe is talking about the spiritual realities in the world and how we, yes, Isser, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, Moshe, maybe it'll help, maybe it won't, but the way I look at it is it's not so difficult. The Rambam tells us that when a man refuses to give his wife a divorce, the court can send people to shmek him up and beat him up. Why? Because his neshama really wants to, but his behema, his gashmias, is getting in the way of it. So I look at these people, these mistaken people, in the same way. Maybe they need a good patch, but ultimately they're yidden, but they need to be, a little roughed up a little bit so they understand, let their neshama, the real desire of the neshama shine.
Right. And if you ever remember, we learned Rabbi Yoel's letters to the Satmar Chassid, where he touches upon that. I'm glad you really brought that out. Now, I reminded myself. He uses that argument, Isser, that you quoted from the Rambam, to refute some of their positions, So, but Moshe is making the emphatic point, which it's if they go and spill the beans and it causes death, So again, halachically, if they're a rodef, there'll be consequences.
Many of our greatest enemies are our own brothers. It's been that way in history.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's
we have to fight our own brothers.
Let's go further. I want to just finish the chapter. V'layomar, the brackets. V'layomar David HaMelech Ol Sholem. Now the Alter Rebbe has an issue, of course, with the statement that David HaMelech makes. Tachlis sinas nesim. The ultimate of hatred is hatred, and seemingly he refers to hating, the sinners. Says the Alter Rebbe, this statement of King David HaMelech was only Ela al Haminim v'Apikursim, the heretics, the Apikursim. She'ein lohem chelik b'lekei Yisrael. This the Alter Rebbe right. I mean, this is from the Mishnah. Kedisa b'Gemara Reish Pei Tazayin the Shabbos, that those Minim Apikursim, they won't have a part in the world to come. But our Rebbe, 200 years later, he even finds a way how to justify the meaning of Apikursim on some level. But truth be said, and you all know, and we all know, how it's true. Otherwise, so many would be meaning of Apikursim. And I want to just not spit it. I just want to, if your own son or daughter becomes a leftist, and is on a poster boy, a poster girl, as you drive into Yerushalayim or whatever, right? And there've been such from homes, from Hasidic homes, on and on and on. No, what are you gonna do? They should die. You're gonna curse your kid. He should die. What are the bells?
No, but I don't think what Rabbi Dalfin, the example you just gave is not the same.
Why?
People who are going.
Why?
It's not. It depends. It really why? Because ultimately we're talking about people who, I think in most cases, children who are, for lack of a better term, OTD, off the derech. We're talking about children who...
I'm talking about, leftists, not just Moshe, not just OTD. We're talking about they have a sinner to frumkeit, and they become a champion of a cause. No? Why is that not the same?
So again, listen, I guess it depends. Ultimately, how do you define what the Rebbe is finishing here? To call a person an apikursis, that there has to be some sort of ultimately, I think, a little bit of a definition there.
Right. Okay, but
there's a line.
Right.
Maybe it's a fine line. Maybe it's a very fine line.
No, but do you hear whether my example is a good one or not? But my point is that when it's our own skin, we justify it. We justify it. Yeah, we justify it. What do I mean we justify it? No one's going to think of thinking of his own parent or friend or child that they should burn because of what they did. At least I don't think that way. It can be against my principles, against Torah principles, and we don't. In Chabad, there was never. I shouldn't say never. The Rebbe's Chabad, the last Rebbe, our Rebbe, taught us not to look at others that way. Listen, I told you, in my own family, my wife's family, there were people who were professors in Moscow and in Russia and during Stalin's times, and they were informers. And the same person I met at my father-in-law's table, hugging him, talking to him. Okay, she'll say he got out, he came to Boston, he did tshuva, who knows? He wasn't religious. Just saying that it's so the bad and the halachic issue is the halachic issue. But the Alter Rebbe wants us to remember the last point, L'oire rachamim. And the point is very important because Moshe, I think he's like identify exactly what you're saying. He says, from the perspective of chesed, I cannot justify this. I can't love him. He's a Torah Kartanik who's doing all this stuff. I can't. Says the Alter Rebbe, I understand with chesed, with Avram, you won't be able to get it done. The feeling of Ahavas Yisrael. So evoke Rachmonus. The Rachmonus will do two things. It'll soften the blow of sinah, of hatred. You won't have a raging hatred. And at the same time, it'll augment the love that you have for the person's neshama. So through these two mechanisms, the lessening of the hate and the augmentation of the love will get you to overcome and to reach out and to educate, etc. And I want to say, I really haven't had much, discussion with the Torah Kartaniks, but I think I would be able to. I'm not saying I'll be able to convince them, but I would be able to dialogue at a table, and you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Much dialogue. I don't know. Anyway, that's argumentative. Either I would or I wouldn't, but it's not real. Yes, Hillel.
Is it a Torah Karta, a sect of Satmar, a break-off group? Where does it come from?
The Torah Karta, well, Avi says yes. I say yes and no. In other words, the Torah Karta started by Rabbi Katz. No, even before that. Rabbi Aaron Katzen Ellenbogen, I believe, together, and then later Rabbi Amram Bloy, and they lived in Meir Sharim, and they took the Shita of the Satmar Rav, Rabbi Yoel Teitelbaum, anti-Zionism, to a whole new level. He didn't take it to that level. No, he didn't take it to that level. But they were living here, and I wrote in my book on Satmar Lubavitch, I showed different things that the Satmar Rav would not approve of what they did. So they took it to a whole different level. So that's why you could say that in Shita, they agree with the Satmar Rav Shita, that the state is a contradiction to the Gibel Shvuos, which we learned in the Rabbi Yoel Sefer, which is erroneous, as Rabbi Yoel pointed out there, totally taking a medrash and making halacha out of a medrash, which is not. It's not the tradition. Halacha is halacha, medrash is medrash. But the Satmar Rav took that and he went with it, and they took it to another level, to the point where they do what Moshe said. They support Iran and all those things. Chevra, it's Shabbos Noach. There is a flood, but there's a way to deal with the flood. The way to deal with the flood is bitochen. The Alter Rebbe in Torah Or, the famous mimer, I would like you to learn it Shabbos. Look at it. Torah Or Noach talks about daigas parnosa, anxiety from parnosa. Okay? So the Alter Rebbe, what's the answer? The answer is, it's the Mei Noach, it's the waters of the flood. And who causes the flood? The Eibishter. The Eibishter gave us now a challenge. Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael is doing well in their challenge. We've risen to the occasion. People are together. People are mamish helping in so many different ways. So this Ahavas Yisrael and this Achdus is the best thing. It's the best refuah. It's the best refuah. And even if one say, well, how long is it going to last? First of all, don't play God. Don't play God. It's here now. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. And the moment is there's relatively achdus, on a good level, better than before. With Hashem's help, the country will wake up and everyone will see, and they see the real colors of these people. Today, you guys have the Prime Minister of Britain coming. Yesterday was Bush it was whatever his name, Biden. I'm a little famished. Yeah, it means nothing and it means everything because it's hashgacha pratis. Whatever happens is min hashamayim. And the world sees that, the major countries are standing with us, and it'll happen. So the Eibishter Helfen should be b'chesed u'barachamim. That was the bracha that the Rebbe Rashab gave his son before he passed away in 1920. He said that your avodah as a Rebbe, as a tzaddik, as a leader should be b'chesed u'barachamim. The Rashab saw in 1920, before Stalin started his edict in 1922 already, the hard times are coming. And he said, B'chesed u'barachamim. So they should help that you be B'chesed u'barachamim and focus on this Likud. And we'll see everyone next Monday. Have a great Shabbos. Zay gesund. Shalom. Bye. Bye. Take care. Good Shabbos. Thank you. You're welcome. Zay gesund. Only good things. Love you all. Shalom.
Stay warm, stay dry.
Yeah.